Alongside Jesse Simonton, Rob Lewis, and Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price for the Rocky Top Roundtable. Finally reached game week, guys. We're just a couple of days away from Tennessee's 2019 season opener against Georgia State. Let's start with the quarterback of this football team, Jarrett Garantano. There's no question going into this year who's the leader of this group, and from all accounts, JG's had a really good offseason.
Is it Garantano or Garantano?
Garantano, yeah.
Right, I guess Garantano.
It's going to be hard to adjust to.
It is, but Jesse, I think the biggest thing for me with JG is going to be his management of the game on Saturday. It's not about necessarily the competition, and I don't want to slight Georgia State, but Tennessee's more talented. They should be a better team. I think it's how much and how well can he manage Jim Chaney's offense. We've heard so much this offseason about him being in control. I think the question is how much control is he really under?
Yeah, but I think he will. It's not a slight to say that Georgia State was the worst passing defense in the country a year ago, ranked 130 in efficiency, 130 in completion percentage. I think we both agree that Tennessee's probably going to try to establish an identity of grounding the football, running the football, but it's an opportunity for JG to kind of build some early confidence on the season, especially the way November ended for him and kind of the team a year ago. He's made the jump. As Austin said, this is unequivocally his team now. This is a chance for him, too. He's a redshirt junior that has already graduated school. If he can finish, I know everyone's already penciling him in to come back next year, but this could be a huge opportunity for him to start this big season off and potentially set his sights on the NFL.
Well, one guy that'll be blocking for him coming up on Saturday is going to be Trey Smith. And what a huge addition to the offensive line. We've talked about it on our site for several months. We expected him to play officially Wednesday, getting the green light. Rob, kind of your takeaway with what Trey Smith brings to the table.
I mean, it's huge. I mean, he's by far and away Tennessee's most experienced offensive lineman, a guy that was a huge recruit, lived up to it as a freshman from day one in the SEC. I think he's the most vocal guy up front. I mean, he's an alpha dog. He's a leader. He plays with a physical edge that I think if you're an offensive line coach, you want other guys to see that, to feed off of that. And I just don't think you can overstate it. Now, how much rust has he got? How much contact has he had? Very, very little. I would expect him to be, the Trey Smith we saw 2 years ago as a freshman, but he's Tennessee's best offensive lineman the moment he puts his helmet on and goes out on the field.
I like the fact that he's playing his natural position.
There you go. And for the first time since halfway through his freshman year.
Right. I mean, I don't think he ever felt comfortable at tackle. I don't think that was, he likes playing in close quarters. I think he feels like he can be more physical, and he's just got a greater feel for the game at the guard position. So I like, from the rush standpoint, I like the fact that he's home, so to speak, at his position, Austin.
Yeah, no doubt. And Jesse, more than anything, he's just not on an island out there at tackle or at guard like he is at tackle. I mean, he just, as Brent said, he's a lot more comfortable there. It's something that, he didn't even hesitate with this current staff when he told him he wanted to try to give it a go. It was guard or nothing.
Yeah, I mean, this is almost deja vu because we went through this whole blood clots, came back a year ago, had to kind of manage the process, figure out the medicals, and then he gets the green light, I think, a couple weeks before the 2018 season. He was mostly almost a non-contact participant the entire fall camp a year ago, gets thrown into the fire at left tackle against West Virginia. This is a little bit of a different deal. He's going to be able to have a couple games. BYU's going to present a challenge for Tennessee, and we'll talk about that next week, but he's at least going to have 2 games the first 3 weeks to knock off that rust and get ready, for that SEC slate, which starts with Florida at the end of the month.
And most importantly, for Trey, honestly, just looking at it, I think that having a plan versus last year, he came off the blood thinners and basically went straight into to game action. They have actually spent all offseason working on this game plan of just kind of getting a regiment and getting a weekly routine for Trey. So I think that gives him a greater shot of success.
We've got our blood thinner expert.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, they've got a plan in place, but I think but what you're saying is exactly right. A year ago, it was you take them basically all summer, and then we're going to take you off of them in August and kind of see how it goes. Because there's been a plan in place to try to manage all summer, he's in much better shape than he was a year ago. I think his focus for last year, it was so much, I don't know if I'm going to get to play. His focus this year really has been since June, I'm playing. Yep. Let's get the plan in place. I think he's in better shape. I think he's better prepared mentally to play football right now than he was a year ago this time.
All right, we've talked about Garantano, your starting quarterback. We've talked about your former freshman All-American offensive lineman that's back. Let's talk about the one guy that a lot of people expect to have and make a difference on this offense, and that's Jim Chaney. on the whole, where do you see this offense, kind of going week one and then evolving from there?
Well, Jesse said it earlier, and I think it's right, Rob. They're going to put their cleats in the ground, screw them bad boys in the ground, come off the ball and try to hit somebody. I think this first week is all about physicality, not about scheme.
I don't think there's any doubt. I mean, based off what we've been seeing on the practice field the last couple of weeks, I mean, Jim Chaney is, I mean, he is climbing up in his offensive line's kitchen. I mean, big time. I mean, the demand to be more physical has just been, I mean, kind of the overriding theme, I think, for the last 2 weeks of fall camp. And, I'm sure Jim's got some bells and whistles that he'll dial up when the SEC season gets here. But I think right now it's just fundamentally, let's line up and move some people out of the way and run the football.
Switching to the other side of the coin, defensively, Derrick Ansley, first time calling plays. A year ago you had Kevin Scherer in the same predicament. Do you think that it certainly feels the way that Pruitt's very comfortable with DA? Do you feel like that DA is going to get every opportunity to be the play caller defensively this year?
I think Jeremy said it himself. He's the head football coach at Tennessee for a reason, and that's because he was a heck of a play caller at his previous 3 stops. So I think DA is probably going to get a longer leash than Kevin Scherer got a year ago. But, again, to use Jeremy's own quotes, he said if there's a call that goes out there that he doesn't like it, he's going to change it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that happened a year ago, and I think that's going to happen whether it's Saturday or in 3 weeks, Brent.
I mean, he said that, I've got the headsets on. I hear every play call that's going out there. I mean, I agree with Jesse. If there's one that he doesn't like, I think you'll see some hand action and signaling in something different.
Well, and look, I mean, all these guys have seen how it works at Alabama. I mean,
sure.
Nick Saban allows everybody to call plays till he doesn't like it, and then he calls the play. And he'll, climb somebody's rear end on the sideline. Now, that's the culture they've been in learning as coaches. Do I think he's got more confidence or maybe more trust in Ansley because he, quote, groomed him more than he did Kevin Scherer? Yeah, I think he probably does. Do I think he's going to challenge him on a call or change a call or two in the ball game? Absolutely, I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, he would do that if Bill Belichick was his defense coordinator.
I think that's probably right.
I think, that's how Jeremy's wired.
Everybody, knows Tennessee's going to win this football game, but give me one player as we go out the door here that people are talking about come Sunday morning.
Well, I want to see it. For me, I want to see what Aubrey Solomon does. I don't know if anybody's talking about him, but here's Tennessee for weeks have been going, are they going to get him, are they not going to get him? The thought from a lot of fans is he's the savior.
Yeah.
Okay? The reality is he's the most experienced, probably most talented defensive lineman Tennessee has. How does he play on Saturday in this new system? I'm going to be fascinated to see how he plays, what his production looks like Sunday morning.
Rob?
I want to see Henry T. We've heard a lot about him in fall camp. Jeremy Pruitt is not in the habit of really, gushing praise at freshmen. He's been pretty unreserved, and how he's complimented him. I want to see, how does he handle it without a veteran like Daniel Batuli beside him, especially.
Jesse?
For me, it's just the newcomers as a whole, and you can lump in both these guys. 16 are in the 2 deep. For Tennessee to win 7 games, get back to a bowl game, they're going to need a lot of these freshmen and junior college defensive linemen to contribute. How they kind of start the season, I think, is going to be important, especially with, a tricky non-conference game against BYU coming up in a week.
I'm going to go out with Rob. I think Henry's the guy, because you don't have Batuli, because he's going to have a greater impact on the game, because he's going to get a lot of reps playing linebacker.
And is he going to call the defense as a freshman?
I'm going to go Henry.
Can Warren Burrell get a pick?
Yeah, he's going to be on the. I mean, as you mentioned, Jesse.
Does Eric Gray score a touchdown?
And what are all these guys? All newcomers.
Yeah, and if I had a second pick, it would be Darrell Middleton. What does he do?
But nobody's talking about what's Darrell Taylor doing. Nobody's talking about these returning guys. It's all about what these newcomers are going to look like, because Jesse's right. The newcomers are going to dictate what this team's record is at the end of the year.
All right, Tennessee and Georgia State coming up 3:30 on Saturday.